Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Southrn Magic Podcast. I am your host, Matt, and tonight I am joined with Will and David. Say hi, y'all.
It
was an
I'm
aggressive
sorry?
hi.
My lips hurt.
Are you having complications?
No, my lips hurt. I've been sick and it's been weird. So when I get sick, I get a symptom a day, and today my lips are just chapped.
I get that too when I get sick.
Yeah.
You're sick? When did you get sick?
Oh, around the time I sneezed on you, I think.
So. I was about to say, God, it was I just saw
just see
you.
the boils start popping out.
I hope this is not like one of those mental things where, like, now that I know you're sick and that I was around you,
No, there's just been something that's been going around. But let me tell you, my nose is either dry as the Sahara or as wet as the friggin' ocean. It's awful. Sometimes at the same time. So
nice. Well, I am I'm really sorry to hear that, Will.
I'll forgive you. It's okay.
But I am going to immediately, once we get done tonight, there is a
immediately change the subject. Yeah.
No. Probably something just as scary as your sickness, though. The new Silent Hill game actually got a it's not the new Silent Hill 2 remake. There's a free Silent Hill short game that just got released on PS5, and it's free, so you can download it.
Dude, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the PlayStation Showcase was tonight, and they talked about a bunch of other stuff, and Konami, I haven't watched it, but they talked about the new Silent Hill game, and they also said, like, oh, hey, by the way, there's a new Silent Hill game that's on PS5 right now, and it's free. So
I love when they do that.
I downloaded it, so it's on my PlayStation right now, and I have
That's
no
been my
idea.
favorite thing now. Whenever they announce a game and they're just like, "This game is available right now," and I'm like, "Oh,
yeah." No, Resident Evil 7.
I love scary games.
Yeah, no, and I have, as I said, I would be going into it completely blind. I have no idea what it's about, only that it's a Silent Hill official game, so I'm going to try it out.
Maybe it's like a new... God, if it's as scary as PT, then it'll be fucking...
Dude, I couldn't play PT. That game scarred me as a kid.
Yeah, no, I that was the other game. I went into that one blind also. I had never been that scared playing a game. It is ridiculous. Oh, but I apologize that I was a little late to tonight's recording, but if it's anything like being late like I was this weekend, hopefully it turns out really well.
You weren't that late.
I was. So to preface this, so this past weekend, there were two tournaments that were going on at different locations. Three. Okay.
There was a lot.
There were a lot of tournaments in the Alabama area. There were three. You said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yeah, because Florence, High Ground, and Dothan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was quite late waking up because I slept in and got to the
hours
late.
of 7 a.m.
Yeah, yeah. But long story short, we won. We got there, as well as David. So we had two Southrn Magic team members take home that invite to Dallas.
We had you two, and then Johnny top 8'd with Caves. Which is,
I was so proud of him.
I was rooting for him so hard because everyone in my car, so I judged, and there was three other people in the car with me, and then there was Johnny, and they were all not really making fun of him, but they were just like, I feel like we're all gonna top 8, except probably you. None of them top 8'd except for him, and I told him to talk crap the entire time back. Like, none of you did.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Did you tell David about the misplay your opponent made?
No, I think we mentioned it in the group chat, but I didn't really go in depth on it. So what happened was in the finals, I was playing against the one guy. No, I went 3-2. I lost to someone else. He was one of my losses in the Swiss, and he was on this like Rakdos low to the ground. Um, I don't even know really how to describe it. It was just a
Rakdos aggro.
Rakdos aggro. I guess it's just the best way to describe it. And he wobbled me in the Swiss, and when I got paired against him in the finals, I was like, okay, this is how I go out. But I got through game one. I won game one, and then we went to game two, and we had already boarded and everything. We presented, we had cut, and then we drew our cards. And mine was a snap keep. It was like
your hand was amazing.
It was a really good hand. Yeah, I can't remember the exact configuration, but it was really good. And opponent looks at his hand, and he kind of like cocks his head to the side, and he sets it down, and he looks over at Will, who's the judge, and he says, what did he say? It's like, I have a situation or something like that.
He draws his hand and goes, I forgot to side out cards. He sided 12 cards in against Matt. And if you don't know, the solution is, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yes, the solution. Yeah, that used to happen all the time with Yorion. Like, people would shuffle their Yorion in and then forget to announce his companion, but you play with the Yorion in your deck. So he played with a 72 card deck. And honestly, like, I think it got in his head. I think he got super tilted at himself.
Yeah.
I think Matt would have won either way. But he got super tilted at himself. Just like, it's like, so stupid, just doing all this. And he had game. So
yeah, no, he was playing Magic. That was that I did feel bad for him because he was cool. Like he was a nice guy. He was definitely a competitor. Well, I mean, if you're playing at the final table, obviously you are. But he was not a douchebag or anything. So he was cool. So I felt bad that he had to go out that way. But
for sure.
When that happened, did that used to be a game loss back in the day?
No, it would have been a game loss if it was it would have been a game loss back in the day if it was the other way around. So if he would have taken out 12 cards and then presented, it would have been. But because he would have caught it during his mulligan, what I would have done is it would have been a forced mulligan to fix his deck, and then you would keep going. So yeah,
but yeah,
because in the olden days, it would have just been a game loss, but
yeah,
a lot of it happens to, he caught it himself and all that. Because I actually did have to give a game loss. I think it was round 4. One of the guys called me over and said, I have 20 cards in my sideboard. And I said,
that's a
and it was like in the middle of game 2. Like, well, you, well, thank you for telling on yourself.
Count those sideboards. Count those sideboards. Very handy, very easy tip to keep
pile shuffle if you have to. You can't do it all the time, but if you need to count after your sideboarding, then
the best call I had this weekend was guy calls Judge over and says, "Can I go to the bathroom? I cut myself on my sleeves and I'm bleeding everywhere." And I said, "No, keep going."
What sleeves are those?
Yeah, that's what I
my God, did he really? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he cut himself on his sleeve, so I had to sit there and just like look at him. I was like, "Is there blood all over these cards? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah, that happened not to me. No, it was to me at a PTQ where it was a sealed PTQ in Pittsburgh where I scrubbed out of the PT. And I was playing the PTQ. We'd get our sealed pool. We'd switch over, and he's like organizing my deck and writing out the list or whatever. And out of nowhere, he gets a massive nosebleed, like it just starts flowing, and he's just like, "Judge, I gotta go." And he's just like, "I'm just like, yeah, get fucking, you don't bleed on my cards. I hope you're okay, but please don't bleed all over the stuff." But it's like 3 times he has to like go back and forth to the bathroom because it's like so bad. And I think I think we might have gotten like a like a 30-minute time extension or something. It was
I not
pretty
heard of
bad.
this story.
Oh
Damn,
yeah,
that
it was
sucks.
pretty
Poor guy.
brutal. Yeah, it was bad for him.
But we were both on the other interesting part of the story to kind of go back to the tournament was I was on Rakdos mid-range, Rakdos Discover, whatever you want to call it. Deck is really powerful. It's a lot of fun to play. And David, you were also on Rakdos, so we were Rakdos bros, and we both got there, both got the
Rack
dub.
Bros.
Proven best.
Yeah.
It's slowly, I think, like starting to get realized that it's one of the more popular decks in the format, and probably one of the best right now.
Really
Discovery
good.
is so good.
So
Yeah, the what's been great is a lot of domains been getting hated out because everybody's playing the freaking toxic deck. So one of our buddies in 5 rounds played toxic 3 times against domain. He won one of them. I think he got like, yeah, he lost all the other 2. So
yeah, and Red Black is super. In Red Black am super happy. I played against it twice for my tournament because I went 3-0-1. I took an unintentional draw in the very first round, and I thought that was just going to be it for my tournament. Playing against Green Black mid range, but I played it in the final round because I had to play a winning in against the undefeated, and beat it, and then played it. The first seat was going into top 8 was infected as well, so I had to play him in my semifinal rounds, and I don't know, maybe it's my deck in general or not, because I did have like a very different build compared to like a lot of Red Black Discover players, but it was just too easy. I was like, all right, well, top Glistening Deluge is too good.
Well, I know I need to, if that's the case, I really need to get with you about your plan or your game plan against Toxic, because that was one thing that was the other loss I had, was the Toxic, because I kind of went into the match thinking like, okay, this is like one of your best matchups.
I don't think it's one of your best, but I think it is a good matchup.
Well,
Yeah, I think you're at least favored.
Yes, and I went into it thinking this was really favored. I thought it was like going to be kind of like what Infect was to Jun back in the day, where that's like, in my opinion, was heavily favored to Jun. But I forgot how to play Magic when I played against the band guy. Like how in cartoons when somebody gets a good idea, they have like a light bulb over there. My light bulb was replaced with like a Dollar General nightlight or something, because because there were instances where like you're playing against, if you're on Rakdos, or if you're, in my mind, if you're on Rakdos mid range against them, and I was looking at his board and I knew it was in his hand because I batted him earlier, and I was thinking, I can't do anything. I can't kill anything, because he had 2 of the 1/1s that replace itself when they die. He had a 1/1 token, and in his hand he had a March of Swirling Mist, which is a hell of a card for that deck. And I had in my hand like a Brotherhood's End and a Gix's Command and like removal spells, and I was like, in theory this should be really good, but it's like, if I kill one of his 1/1 guys, it just makes a 1/1. If I try to wipe the board, he just blinks all of his stuff and then it doesn't do anything. And I was just like, man, I can't win against this. So
you try playing a blocker.
You had to play it against the deck very particularly, and know what to target at what times, and know when they're holding up. When they're holding up their tails for the March of Swirling Mist and all of that. But I think usually just by sticking stuff on the board and just getting rid of stuff one by one, and that card, what's it, Skrell's Hive is a hard card to beat.
Yeah, I knew about that one.
And Extract the Truth so much.
Yeah.
That card's very good, in my opinion, against that deck. Or at least a bad part of that deck that you don't want to play against.
Yeah. Definitely. I agree with that, because I was able to bat him game 1 and I saw Skrell's Hive. I was like, okay, well, that's the one thing that I actually can't deal with. So I took that, and I think that was correct. But it was really just both games that we played just came down to March. It really did, because like game one, when I was like I was like at 8 poison, or I was like at 7 poison or something, and he drew a March, did the proliferate thing where he like targets his own stuff and it gives you poison counters because of the rot priest. It's like, okay, well, I'm dead.
Gross, yeah.
And then in game 2, I stabilized kinda. I had blockers for all this stuff, and I forgot that he can just wipe your board and swing in, because like I had like 2 Blood Tithe Harvesters and a Shieldred in play somehow, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I just need to figure out a way to get in. And he's like, march your board, swing game. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
He does have to set up, because I mean, the same case, my opponent, when I played against him, he had like 3 March of Swirling Mist, but like no actual board to do anything with.
Mhm.
So that's like for 3 turns in a row, he like marched my 2 geological appraisers that were swinging at him for like lethal.
Yeah.
So, but I was still playing stuff to the board. So that card's good if they're all. It's a win more card if they're already established. It's definitely good. It's very delicate balance with March. But if you guys want to learn more about like what we actually think about the deck and a deep dive, then check out our joint video on it. We filmed it just yesterday. Played 5 rounds in arena. I won't spoil it, so I won't say the record we got, but go and check it out. I think that it went pretty well, and we give a whole deep dive about the deck, like why we made certain choices in the deck. We in real time changed the deck.
I wasn't invited. I'm not good enough.
Don't start.
No, it was.
We'll have fun with your pals.
It was a. No, it was a very fun league. It is a very fun deck that, you know, and this is probably not going to be the first time I've said this, but it does feel like playing Boomer Jun from Modern, because the thing that I notice even when I'm playing this on Arena or paper, even the games that I'm losing, I'm still having fun with it, and there's still ways to fight back with it. Like you have ways to deal with any matchup, just about. Like I can't think of anything that is like completely, you know, nigh impossible for you to play against with the deck. I mean, no, definitely check out that league if you want. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it does have that feeling where like in game 1 you're like 45% to beat everything, and then post board you're just it turns into a 60-40 matchup.
So Will, what are you going to play now? You need to come to Dallas with us, because me and David are going to be rocking it in Dallas now in June.
Well, I've got Rakdos, because I was the one that let you borrow the deck, but
you can
and
use
then
my Gixes if you need them.
I have Gixes. I have that, and I have Toxic, so it really depends on how I feel. When I played Toxic expecting Domain, I played against mid-range decks 5 out of 6 times, if you think about 6 out of 6 times. So I'll probably play Rakdos. Unless I just see a lot of Domain in the room, and then I might switch over. But
dude, I right now, and you know, this is recency bias, but like I'm undefeated against Domain right now.
Yeah, that deck.
For me, I cannot beat it game 1, but game 2 and game 3, I feel fine.
Yeah, it's just Liliana.
Yeah, Liliana is a big part of that. So I main deck those.
I agree.
Liliana's so good. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'll probably play Rakdos. It really depends on the next couple events coming up. You know what? My real thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do well in freaking. I'm going to do well in Denver, so I just qualify that way.
Yeah, so, let's go.
There you go.
Shove rhinos up people's butts. And
yeah, rhinos is the best deck now. Your deck is finally the best.
Oh
yeah, people ask me how I'm practicing with it. I was like, well, I've played it for 2 years, so I'm gonna learn that Tashana's Tidebinder triggers Flame of Anor, and we're good. Yeah, we're good now.
Are there any new cards that you're seeing for the deck? Because I'm planning on still playing red black scam, just red black all day for me. By the way, if you ever ask me what I'm playing, if they're gonna keep making red black the best colors, then I'm gonna keep playing it. But there's no new cards that I see in Murders of Karlov Manor.
Murders
I
at
haven't
Karlov.
noticed anything. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be there could be some cyborg card or something like that. But no, I'm pretty set on what I want to build. I just need to pick up one more tie binder, and I should be good. I don't know. I've looked at Murders. What?
I was just saying, if you need one for like a tournament or like for Denver, I have a Tide binder. I'm probably not going to be using it if you want to borrow it or something.
I'll probably end up just buying what I need, because the thing is, like, for rhinos and all that, I'm gonna need at least 3. So
okay, that's fair.
But I appreciate it.
I think out of my sideboard, I'm like pretty set for rhinos.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
Pretty set. I have 7 here that get rid of rhinos.
Yeah.
Like I know I need to beat that deck, and it's already a bad matchup, and I'm just gonna hedge my bets against it.
Yeah.
Well, I am so glad that you brought up rhinos, actually, because there is a little bit of, I don't want to call it drama. It's a little bit, it's a conversation starter. So usually Josh is here to be our Twitter drama tea queen, but I'm having to do that this week. So on Twitter this week, Andrea Mengucci posted a paragraph or so that stirred up a lot of conversation, and we kind of wanted to see where everyone is at with this. So basically what it comes down to, if I'm remembering it correctly, was Modern is now worse than it was when Fury was around, because you know what? I'm just going to go on Twitter really quick and look it up, because I really don't want to butcher this.
Read it verbatim. Don't want to put words in his mouth or anything.
Yeah.
You just pull it up. But it is an interesting, I guess, an interesting take.
It's an interesting thought. I don't think I agree exactly. So
that's why I say it's interesting, because I respect Andrea Mengucci a lot. Follow all of it.
To quote, it is, I think this is currently the most unbalanced Modern since Modern Horizons 2. The banning of Fury and Beans made Yawgmoth and Amulet too strong, with only Rhinos thriving as the only deck good against both. The metagame was balanced before, with Scam as the perceived best deck. Lots of decks tied at the top and no clear winner on win rate. I beg Wizards to stop listening to complaints online and start focusing on the win rate of decks at major events, and using a higher bar to ban expensive cards, Fury, and decks, 4-color Beans. Please don't, man, that is a run-on sentence from hell. Please.
I mean, his English isn't amazing.
That's true. I was looking for the period. Please don't just ask for even more cards to be banned and wish for even more people to lose money just because you can't win with your specific deck. Not every single deck can be a winning one in a competitive format, even if we want as many as possible to be strong. The only reason cards should be banned is if their win rate is too high, and bans like these can easily make things worse, as they have now. I love Modern. And then he just kind of glazes Modern for a little bit.
Well, I guess he has a point to a certain degree. I feel like it's still a relatively like new Modern format where people are actually putting in the work to like figure out what actually has changed with the Fury ban, and we've seen, or the recent ban list, and we've seen like a few decks kind of like hover to the top and kind of lose place. We've seen like metagame shifts since that time. So I think that Modern is still in a position where the fact that it's in a position where there are metagame shifts in it, even within these past few weeks, means that there is no like straight up abusive deck. Yes, like if we look at RC getting this weekend, Rhinos and Yawgmoth were the clear winners. I think they both had like 3 copies each in the top 8 of that tournament. But if you look at like the popularity and like the win rate of the decks, they're still relatively pretty on par with uh a relatively balanced format, because you could look at that and then you could say the same thing and say that Scam is broken because it got 4
Mhm.
spots in the top 8 of the Brazilian RCQ, or
Mhm.
excuse me, the Brazilian RC. So the fact that I think that we're in a format that's kind of like that, even though I do believe that this format is there are like 5 top decks in it between Rhinos, Red Black, Yawgmoth, Murktide, and Titan.
Amulet.
Which I don't know how he's complaining when Murktide is at least in the conversation
Yeah,
when it
the
wasn't even in the
Murktide guy.
conversation at all before the prelim. So I'm a little bit
Mhm.
more surprised at his comment when it comes to that. But I think the format's still trying to at least figure its stuff out, because there are decks that have good matchups against Rhinos and Yawgmoth that aren't getting played as much because they don't have good matchups against what I think going into this week, people said that Scam was going to still be the best deck going into it, and there are other decks that are better, that have better matchups against Yawgmoth and
Mhm.
Rhinos that obviously didn't get played as much,
Mhm.
because if Grief is just going to be like the best card in the tournament, then why would you play as much Titan or as much uh, Tron or Hammer or like other decks that don't have such a good matchup against it? Uh, so I don't know if I technically agree with that sentiment either. Because before the bans, like, yes, Scam was good just as it is now, but Scam was also like had like, on top of like a pretty good win rate, it was also like 20, what was it, 24,
Some
25,
ungodly
It was
level.
crazy.
Yeah.
crazy amount of the meta. And also it was just wasn't a good play pattern that most modern decks at that level could really keep up with.
Yeah.
Just getting a turn 1 4/4 double striker, or a turn 1 take 2 cards out of your hand uh format. This I guess there's like the fact of like banning stuff because and maybe it wasn't like OMG the best deck, but it certainly wasn't a very healthy
Mhm.
format to be playing.
It just wasn't fun. Like, I mean, if you really
That
want to
too.
get down to it, it was not a fun format to play in. It was the
Not to
format.
mention even Beans. Like Beans was just, that was ridiculous. Like
Beans
the fact
was.
that people are just playing like cascade spells just to get like
Mhm.
this
Yep.
4 Bean card on the battlefield. It just shows how powerful. That's like what Rhinos does for
Yeah,
Mhm.
like
I think this is kind of riffing on the sentiment that was kind of getting batted around, was that if you ban Fury, you unban a bunch of cards in theory. It's kind of like when Ren and 6 was tearing up Legacy, Death and Taxes was just unplayable because you couldn't play any X ones because they all just died to Ren and 6. And that was kind of used as a argument for banning Fury, because when Fury was legal, humans just could not be played. Infect could not be
no creature
played.
deck.
Like
And,
no creature deck, whatever.
Yawgmoth was just so powerful that it kind of broke through that a little bit, even though
Mhm.
it wasn't as popular as it is now, obviously.
Yeah, and I, and what he's saying by that is, since Wizards banned Fury just because people wanted to play the decks that they liked, that gave way to the metagame that exists now, where you have Rhinos, Yawgmoth, Amulet. If you really wanted to, like, and Murktide, I guess, kind of somewhere in the middle.
I think Murktide is pretty much up there.
Hmm.
And
And he's saying that is worse than what we had before, where Rakdos was just everywhere. And that is the part where I kind of fall off in believing that, because I would look more forward to playing in a modern event today than I did when Fury was in modern, personally.
Yeah, I think the rack. I think what it is yeah, a lot of people that were on Rakdos are now switching over to either Footfalls or Yawgmoth. So instead of seeing 28%, 30% Rakdos, now you're seeing 15 Footfalls, 15 Yawgmoth, 15 Scam. So you're seeing one of 3 decks now. Instead of just the one Boogeyman, there's 3 of us.
And
then
There's
there's
the big
still
3.
other decks that are still
Yeah.
Right.
at least more viable than they were before.
I agree with what you're saying, David. I think what it is we're still trying to figure everything out. We're in a period where there isn't a best deck. There's a bunch of really good decks that are all fighting for the number 1 spot. So
and to a certain degree, that's what every format ends up being. That's every format that's every year of every format ever since Magic's come out. It's been like any format. There's like 4 or 5, 6. I don't think there's ever been like a 6 at max. There's like
there might be 6 now in standard.
Like, yeah, that's true. There's like there's X number of decks, and those are the top performers. And everybody down here has got to, go in with the idea that you really have the odds stacked against you that you're going to beat these decks, but that's what your sideboard's for, and you just try to get there because you want to play that deck. And I think that is something to keep in mind with this. And also, his other point that he made was it's expensive to ban these decks because people sink money into these decks. And that part I don't agree with either, because they ban Fury, sure. Scam is still a tier 1 deck. Like,
and they did everything they could to make that deck still playable without being broken.
Yeah, like it's I mean you're the Scam player here, so I mean, do you think it's still viable to play that? Do you feel like you lost like a huge investment with Fury being banned?
I mean, partly yes, but I mean, I still have a deck, and the deck is still clearly like decent. So I don't think that I've missed too much at all. I think that it hit right where it needed to in order to have it still a part of the format, but not be just a curse basically on that you just have like such, and plus it like reduces like that the aspect of that scam deck where now instead of 8 cards to scam out on turn 1, you've just got the 4. So you still have an aspect of it. There's this deck still exists to a certain degree, but you're not just almost like guaranteed to basically have the scam on 1, and then your opponent just looks at you and you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll just loot from here.
Right.
Because it was rough even for the mirror match too, like trying to beat a turn 1 scam. Like, I mean, basically that's how it was. Just whoever scammed first pretty much got there. And there's games obviously where you can play out of it, but you still have to like pretty much draw like the right cards in order to do so. And in that same sentiment, like banning that and also taking care of the 4-color deck, like the 4-color deck was pretty. That deck was pretty egregious. It was basically on like. I feel like that deck got banned is the same reason why, like, almost the same reason why, like, Yorion got banned, where, like, the games that it was conducive to were just, like, not what they wanted to be a part of the format. It just took too long to go through games between fetching and just playing the decks in general, because in Yorion decks, you're just playing super slow, grindy decks that you just, like, that basically the whole point of the deck is that you don't lose the game. You're not like winning the game all this, but the whole point is just to not lose.
Right.
And it's not very good when one of the main decks in the format, that's what you're trying to do.
And I actually, since we're just kind of on the topic of talking about the diversity of modern right now, I just pulled up the numbers for the metagame on Goldfish. So Crashing Footfalls is number 1 at 15.1% share of the meta. Second is Rakdos Scam at 13.7. Third is Yawgmoth at 10.8. Fourth is Murktide at 8.3. Then Amulet at 7.7. And then it starts to kind of drop off into like the 4s and 3s. So I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 viable decks that are really high performers that
And
you could
everything
safely
is
play.
slightly slow, slightly underneath them. And that's
Yeah.
just because that's what's good right now, and people haven't gone through the cycle of decks being good
Mhm.
against what matchups. Like, for instance, there's like what's that stupid seismic impact deck that's been popping up in top 8s of challenges recently? Like, that deck kind of just came like out of nowhere. And, like, you're
Impact.
talking about it's like a
Oh,
seismic
assault loam.
assault. Oh,
Yeah.
assault loam. There we go.
A
Yeah, assault.
seismic assault.
Seismic
Yeah.
assault. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know cards.
No, I've
Yeah.
not. This is actually the first time I've seen this
It's
too.
top 8 at 2 challenges, as far as I know.
Land. Yeah, I was seeing assault loam popping up here and there when I was checking deck lists, and I had no idea what that was. That is interesting.
Yeah, and
It's a
challenges
silly
are
little
really
deck.
metagame heavy. Like, those people who don't just play like their normal tabletop Magic. Those things, they're coming in with the heat.
Mhm.
So obviously, like, this deck has had to fight through like a lot of metagame in order to get to the top 8.
We audible into this.
Hang on.
He plays Tarmogoyf.
Hang on 1 second.
So
I'm just checking something really quick.
What's up?
Okay, never mind. I thought that I saw the metagame just shift right in front of my eyes for a second because like
as we're talking about
yeah,
it.
like that's what I thought was happening because I saw like Crashing Footfalls was at 15.1 and then Rakdos Skin was at 13.7. I went back to the same view I had of the view for 7 days out, and then it's for a second it said Rakdos Scam at the top with like 14.9 and Crashing Footfalls at the second were like 13.8. I was like, this neck and neck. It's like you can
Yeah,
play. But no, it
I thought you were about to
refreshed.
say. I thought you were about to say you didn't hit record, and I was about to leave.
No. I have been making timestamp notes, so no, we are
I
good.
always like hanging out with you guys, so I wouldn't say it was a waste.
Aw.
I'm going to bed.
But
Oh,
any last takes on the modern post before we move into the kind of the news section before we got a little bit of extra time. We can spend a little bit more time on this or
No, I think it's fine. Like,
I think we're fine with it.
he's got his points, obviously, but where I'm standing personally, and I'm sure that probably, I don't know what the ratio on that fucking tweet is, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who still are much happier with what's happening now than beforehand.
Pleasant
I know the
Konami was
Murphy
flaming
players
him.
are. I know Drew is.
Yeah, I saw Pleasant Kenobi was clapping back at him a little bit, and I think they may have been talking with one another. It didn't look like it was like shit flinging or anything. It was
But
a
it's more. This is it just requires. There's a lot of people who, like, their first instinct is to get mad, but this talk like requires discussion because he has points.
Yeah.
For sure, but that's what you talk out, and that's how you kind of come to understanding of like how things are. Like, one person has one point, the other person has another point. They start to look at the general information and how things are breaking down, and then maybe he changes his mind, or maybe he
David,
still believes that it's
David,
still an unhealthy metagame.
David, you poor sweet summer child. This is Twitter. That's not what Twitter's for.
I mean, I just got back on Twitter, dude. Like, just for this, like,
that's for
you guys
saying
just so y'all could tag me and stuff.
Twitter is for typing KYS at like everything, every post.
I mean,
that
in
disagrees with you.
real life, that's how
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are.
mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah. So modern, my opinion, still pretty good, still all right. But for anyone who's going to be going to who's trying to think of a deck to play in any upcoming tournaments or at DreamHack Denver in next week. Is it next week?
Yep, next week.
Next
Yep.
week. Oh my god,
Week.
holy shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're gonna need to bring a parka. It's gonna be cold.
I will.
Really?
You know what I'm gonna do in Denver? I'm gonna light up a nice
birthday candle.
Yeah, birthday candle, because it's gonna be one of my friends' birthdays.
Sweet.
I'm gonna be I can't think
I'm
of
gonna be
any
smoking
euphemism.
some firewood because it's be cold.
Smoking some
Keep it
nice
all
meat.
warm. Yeah.
I've got to pull up Dracula Flow and look up some weed euphemisms for me to use.
I still haven't seen that.
You've not
Like,
seen
No, you
Dracula
don't.
Flow?
I know you guys have gotten on me about that. I just haven't seen it yet.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I forgot about it as soon as y'all told me the last time.
If Josh was here, if Josh, I guarantee when Josh listens to that, he is going to start quoting to himself in the car like the bars that Dracula spits in it. It's so good. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so thank you. Anything for any tournaments that anybody's looking to go to in the modern variety, there has been a recent rules change to the way that suspend works. So in summary, if a card comes off of suspend, you do not have to cast it. You can opt to leave it in exile, which is has some pretty big implications in modern, I would say. The one that jumps to the forefront in my mind is burn. Is not going to be nearly as good against rhinos as it was before, because in burn we saw people move away from Eidolon. Like Eidolon just was cut from the deck completely for the longest time, because Roiling Vortex was just better, because you punished scam by scamming in the creatures by dealing them 5, and you could play against rhinos, and sometimes even assault Titan. If they played the packs, you could just hit them for 5. But the main thing was living in and rhinos. I know you've had a good record against burn, but I would say that the majority of people who played rhinos and living in did not look forward to playing against burn because of Roiling Vortex. That's not a factor anymore now, really. At least from how I'm looking at it. So I think this is definitely going to hurt Burn's staying power as like one of the tippy top decks that it was for a minute there. And I think we're going to see our old boy Eidolon come back, and Roiling Vortex maybe just stay in the sideboard from now on. But what are y'all's thoughts on that? Do you see this causing any other effects in modern or legacy or anything like that, or is that really just the main thing that we can see coming from this?
I guess when it comes to burn and that interaction, yeah, I guess you don't get hit for 5 guaranteed when they attempt to cascade. But it still does its job where like you're at least putting off the ability. So it's still doing its job, like, out of its borders. Roll Word punishes them for like using these cascade spells, and now they just simply just don't get the effect. Which is kind of a card that I would still want to have in the matchup. It's basically turned it into a Chalice of the Void, essentially. But even against evoke creatures, like I feel like that card is like Rolling Vortex is still very good. There's not as many evoke creatures out now, so maybe that's why it like loses its luster.
That's true.
But I don't think that it would just simply because of this ruling. There's a point maybe they just like go back to Eidolon because that's more of the format. The format is just getting a little bit smaller, so Eidolon is just the right way to go.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the ruling will have anything to do with the power level of Roiling Vortex. In that, I don't think it'll have but that's pretty much it. I don't think it'll have a super big impact, because then they just like don't cast their spell, and then you're able to stay in the game longer, which you don't want to do against burn.
Right. It also from Burn's perspective, it creates a weird kind of ultimatum that the rhinos are living in player has to deal with. It's like, do I risk winning the game? Do I try to play? Do I think they don't have the extra burn spells it'll take to kill me if I cast this and take the 5? So
whereas otherwise they just like didn't have the option. They just had to
it's
take
like, oh
5.
damn, yeah, I guess I take 5.
Mm.
I'm curious, Will, was there any? I mean, I'm sure this has come up. Have you ever had this like happen where people just forget to take stuff off suspend? And do you think that maybe the occurrence of that maybe played a role in them changing this?
I mean, I've had it happen before. I don't really know why they changed through it, but if you do miss your cascade, if you miss the suspend trigger, it's the same as if you miss Mishra's Bobble. Basically, you get to choose. Your opponent gets to choose to put it on the stack or not.
Okay.
So if it's
So
at 2,
So maybe I guess this like just cuts out that where they just miss it altogether because it's a May.
yep, it does.
Okay, so it just makes like
Mhm.
giving a ruling a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a cool rule. It makes it so if your opponent one rings and you have a rift bolt, you don't have to rift bolt your own stuff.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's
yeah,
a good
that
point too.
Yeah.
It also
Yeah.
it also makes the burn mirror interesting. I know, I'm sorry, my brain just immediately goes to burn though, because it's one of the other decks it's like I always try to have burn on me just in case if I just don't want to think for a tournament or whatever. It also there's also that case in the burn mirror where someone has a rift bolt on suspend and then they play an eidolon and then they have to take 5, whereas you can just like let that rift bolt go and not deal yourself the 2 from Eidolon being cast or whatever. So it's interesting in that respect. But yeah, it's just a weird rule that just seemingly came out of nowhere. That people were just like, okay, I guess that's just
I
that
feel like that's
happens.
what everyone was like. They're like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let's see. So we're kind of coming up on the last few minutes of this episode. So I think a good thing to kind of talk about, since the release of Murders at Karlov Manor is that next week, or is that
It's
that
Friday.
is next week.
this Friday?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It
in
is
a
the
couple of days.
pre-release technically, but wait, Friday? Oh shit,
Yeah,
yeah, Friday.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There is no pre-release anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Basically,
There is release.
yeah, there's literally. I think probably just like MTG community release, and then there's the big box store release. Is what I take that as.
Mm-hmm.
Because Walmart can't have a pre-release.
Not yet.
But we have the whole set spoiled now, and I have a hot take that I just want to share since I'm looking at these cards. I hate this like alternate frame that they've got. These like notes. I don't even know how to describe this. It looks like
a file. It looks
it looks like a
file.
file. I hate that.
Oh.
It looks ugly to me
I
personally.
thought it was
You look ugly.
interesting. Damn,
You're right.
that's exactly what Watsy would say. It's like, don't worry, it wasn't made by a real person. It was made by AI. We just
AI.
had to figure it out.
Get
Yeah,
this
like,
AI
figure
shit
it out
out of here.
They just have the good stuff.
But I was just, since anyway, that's me being a crotchety dude about it. But the whole set is out, and I'm just kind of looking through the spoilers. The one card that does kind of jump out at me, I mean there are a few pretty good ones in here, but the one that looks on the face looks the most fun that I would maybe like to play with. Well, I mean maybe play it on standard, because I don't have to play standard in paper now.
Yeah, that's what I was so relieved about for winning, because I was stressing out about like having to get all this new stuff, figuring out the new format, trying to get. I'm playing Red Black, trying to get a hold of like Rakdoses, because that card's like $40 now. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
The card that is coming out that on its face looks the most fun and is really powerful is the Quake Mole, Ansrag the Quake Mole. The 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green, 8/4. Whenever Anzrag the Quake Mole becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. And then you can pay green, green, red, red, and 3. Anzrag must be blocked each combat this turn if able. So, I mean, it's just a Timmy of Timmiest cards for sure. Just a big old mole god. So I really like that one. I might like play it in like historic green red monsters just to goof around with. Is there any cards in this set that are kind of catching your eye that you're interested in or interested in testing in either standard or other formats or anything like that?
The dog token is cute.
The dog token. I don't think I've seen
In the dog token, he gives he's a good boy and gives a good old heckin' bork.
Yeah, I'm looking him up.
The dog token.
Dog token. He's great.
Jamie, pull up the dog token real quick.
Murders at Karlov.
In seriousness, Insidious Roots looks fun.
God, yes.
And I feel like there's something there. So if you don't know that one, it's black and red or black and green. Enchantment. Creature tokens you control have tap to add 1 mana of any color. And then whenever 1 or more creatures cards leave your graveyard, create an 0/1 plant creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. There's something there. And I think it rhymes with Cauldron Familiar.
Is it this dog token? I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on the dog token. Is it this golden retriever puppy card?
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine casting Stomp on that?
Yeah.
This is extra text here. Was like
freaking
cannot be targeted by a Stomp. All right, well.
Dismembered Stomp.
It has a Ward puppy dog face.
Gosh.
But yeah, no. Insidious Roots. Yeah.
Let me look that one up actually.
If y'all didn't think that Yawgmoth had tools before,
yeah,
if y'all thought Yawgmoth was annoying before, we were discussing how many of this card that you want to play in the Yawgmoth deck. I feel like it's an include. I just don't know how
it is. Yeah,
of an include because it serves as the same spot where like I feel like Hypatra serves in that deck.
Yeah,
where it's a win more card, except you need a little. It also provides like mana ramp for like your tokens that you create, or your tokens like tap to like add mana. But on top of that, that with Agatha Soul Cauldron is just busted. Like, exile something, make a plant token with a counter on it. So now you have 2 things with activated abilities. It's pretty egregious. And then you start to, if you have this and you like get the Undying combo, just every turn you get a token and a counter on each plant.
I really like the art on this too.
Yeah, it's pretty. I like the alternate art. Also looked pretty good too. The full art.
Would it be cheating if I said one of the cards I'm excited for is Lightning Helix?
No, that's not.
No,
cheating.
I don't think so at all. I think Lightning Helix like getting play outside of modern could be really good.
I got my set and I'm ready to go. So
you can look at it like Jeskai Control and Pioneer between that and the 3 mana or the 2 mana leak, blue white mana leak.
What's y'all's opinion on the cards that you can only get out of pre-release?
I generally, as a rule, ever since what was that stupid taking turns card that you could only get ever since Nexus of Fate, I think making cards exclusive to get, not cards that are playable. Yeah, cards that are playable in standard or a format that you can't crack in a pack. I think that's just a bad idea, personally.
Yeah, especially when they're like seem pretty good. There's the wolf, right? The 5 mana
Boja or something.
Boja. The card seems pretty solid.
I don't think any of it will see play in anything other than EDH, but it's one of those things of just like, I can't even get this in anything. Can you get them in the collector packs or anything like that?
You buy the promo, or if you buy the pre-release kits, I guess you get them, right?
I don't want to support my local game store. I hate them. Ah!
Oh my god.
If you're
no, I guess-
listening to this, fuck your local game store. Buy all your cards on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, Walmart.
Yeah.
Heck, steal it from Walmart. No.
You're definitely not going to get fake cards from
They'll be
there.
fine. They'll be fine with it. Who was it that was showing off his legacy deck in the Discord, and you had commented about his Chinese
Yeah, it's Chinese cards. Yeah.
That's the first place where my head went to. It's like, I wonder if they're fake.
His shiny what?
It's Chinese Shieldreds. And I was like, these are really cool. He's like, yeah, I got them for really cheap. I went, I actually got the same thing. I was like, it's not.
Yeah, it's too hard to like counterfeit.
Yeah, it's not.
Especially rares and mythics now, the way they watermark them.
Are we excited for Leyline of the Guild Pack? Because let me tell you, I'm not.
I don't know yet. It's a very interesting card.
It's really funny because the coolest thing about it is it adds 4 green. Nobody cares about the effect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting in Modern to see it in the domain decks. Because I always feel like those decks are like right on the precipice of like top tier.
Yeah.
Where they're like 2, maybe even sometimes even 2. I don't think they're like quite 2.5. They're more like 2 or 1.5. And they always need that extra. They always like play once in a while. But this with the what's the Draco? So the Draco, the
12 mana, the zoo
artifact
thing.
Yeah, those 2 cards seem pretty powerful.
Scion of Draco.
Yeah, Scion of Draco. Yeah, that card with Scion of Draco just seems just straight up unbeatable to me. Just getting a 2 mana 4/4 with hexproof, including I don't even know all the abilities that card gives. So it gives a hexproof. So flying.
Just for any audio listeners, so Scion of Draco, 12 mana 4/4 artifact creature dragon with domain. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. Flying, each creature you control has vigilance if it's white, hexproof if it's blue, lifelink if it's black, first strike if it's red, and trample if it's green. So this card plus Leyline. I'm trying to pull up the card so I can read it. Leyline of the Guild Pact. If Leyline Guild, it's the Leyline text. Each non-land permanent you control is all colors. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So, so you start with this in your hand. You play it for free. Now all of your creatures, first of all, Scion of Draco costs, is that 2?
Yeah, that's 2.
Yeah, Scion of Draco costs 2, and every creature you control gets. Oh wait, no, Scion gets all these abilities too.
And Scion.
Yeah, Scion.
That's the worst part about it.
So
because it's a 4/4 hexproof, including all of those abilities.
If you have this one card in your with this one trick, if this is in your opening hand and you play this, you cast a 2 mana 4/4 that is vigilant, hexproof, lifelink, first strike, and trample, and every creature you cast is that too. So it's pretty. It's sick.
Certainly because it's not often that like a trick like this that like makes you like minus yourself in carded, because basically, I mean, if you get most of the time you get Leyline of the Guild Pack, it's just a mulligan. It's just a dead card in hand, and you need to have cards. If you get it out, you need to have cards that really support it. It's very rare that like tricks like this in Modern actually work. But when the turn 2 creature that you're getting has like hexproof and flying on top of a ton of other abilities, that's not something to quite shake its stick at. Not to mention all the other like domain creatures that are really good that you get for 2 mana. including having just leyline
Mhm.
binding on one. So now you also get leyline binding on one, uh, with with mana that can just simply come untapped. Usually with these domain decks, they rely on their fetches to get triumphs in order to really like get the domain strategy going. Now they don't even have to like crack their fetch lands to do it. They just get
Mhm.
leyline of the guild pack. They play their land, have a turn one leyline binding if they need to, and
Mhm.
turn two either get the scion or get the what's the other red green one. It has domain, and then if it attacks, it gets a ton of.
Oh,
It gets
yeah.
like +1/+1 for each all the domains or whatever. I have that card. I have like a stack of that card. I wonder if that card went up in price.
I always confuse that with Voltaic Brawler, the red green card from
Um,
years past.
like a
They're a little
stack
different.
card.
Yeah, I can look it up really quick.
Terri-
Domain.
Territorial Kavu.
There we go.
Red
Yeah,
and
I like that.
green creature type Kavu. It's
Mhm.
star domain. Power and toughness equal to the number of basic land types among lands you control. Then whenever it attacks, you discard a card, and if you do, draw a card, or you can exile it to one card in your graveyard. But it comes down to the turn 2/5/5.
So that's what you do. That's what you use to get rid of your extra ley lines that you draw. You just play that, discard.
Yeah, now you can loot away the ley lines. Between that, you have just a slew of turn two plays with that, and then the voltaic, not voltaic brawler, but there's another, I want to say, brawler card. It's like 3 toughness, and the power is based on your domain. It came out in Dominaria United.
What's y'all's opinion on crime novelist?
I think that card's gonna be busted.
Do you think
That
maybe
was
we
gonna
should
be my
brew?
for a card.
Maybe
Yeah.
we should brew a deck for the
Fight
RC
for it.
with crime novelists. There you go.
Yeah, I think this would be a
There's something there.
this would be a fun as hell deck
Let
to
me. I guess maybe I want to rephrase because I think the deck is going to be really good. I don't know if it's going to be on the power level to be worried about because
No.
this. I feel like if this build of this deck is going to be anything, it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be very similar to Hardened Scales right now, where Hardened Scales is kind of like right there on the precipice of like
yeah,
it's one of those like 1.5 tier
it's kind of
decks.
there.
Yeah.
Where it's almost kind of there. I don't know. Maybe an infinite combo. Might help it out. And if you don't know what we're talking, like the infinite combo that I'm referring to is just any crime novelist and animation module, and then any sack outlet uh, with
Arcbound Ravager.
with an artifact. So yep, like the go-to I think is Arcbound Ravager for sure.
Turn
Also has
one
Goblin
animation
Bombardment
module.
as well, which actually wins if you
Hmm.
get Goblin Bombardment with it. But that's a lot of pieces that requires, and there's like 3 card combos in Modern that aren't seeing play right now.
Yeah.
Uh, Granted, they're creature combos or creature cards. Where this is just like the one, maybe 2 creatures, and then a card that's a little harder to interact with an animation module.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
there's
I
the
couldn't
CC
imagine
land.
it being better than Hardened Scales.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to this set. Like this set in my mind is it is exactly what a standard set should be. Like nothing is blowing, like making me look at me like, oh my god, this is so broken, it's going to break every format. It's nothing like that. Like this is a
But there are
very
clear good cards and very
yeah,
unique cards. I will add at that, which sometimes ends up just being just as busted because we don't have this effect in the game yet.
yeah,
And now that we do, there's some unhinged thing that's been waiting on this that we now have, i.e. Leyline of the Guild Pack.
hmm.
Uh,
Well, this is and also I we were kind of joking before about not having to play standard, talk about standard. We're still going to talk about standard. I mean this is a show about Magic, and I think a lot of people who listen to this, obviously want to have a laugh here and there and listen to us goof off and talk
No
about Magic
laughs.
stuff. But
laugh about standard.
if you're trying if you're trying to top 8 or win your first RCQ, or just get better at the game in general, learn more about Standard or something, that is one of our goals, is to be a good resource for you. So that is going to continue to be a staple of the show, is keeping
I'm here
Standard
to
in mind.
meme. Only
But,
the
and
meme.
if we can meet them along the way, then why not?
But
Also, let's shout out Reenact the Crime Scene. I don't know what people are hype about that card. I don't know what it goes in, but I mean, people are hype about it.
Okay.
There's nothing more to say about it.
But is there anything else y'all want to talk about or mention before we wrap? Okay.
I was about to start rapping. It's like I can't rap at all. It was going to be really bad.
Now we wrap.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
That's all I have. That's all the topics.
Well, good deal.
Hopefully we get to see any of you guys in Denver next weekend.
Yeah, say hi.
We might bring some playmats. God, I need.
I'll
I tried to give away my playmat on my first stream, but we all saw how that went. So
I'll try to set up some giveaways and all that.
do we want to have like one playmat, or just where like everybody signs it?
That's a good idea,
like that,
actually.
Like, where everybody.
I've thought about using some of the. What is it? So, we're each getting 2, and then we've got 4 that we're going to be doing for giveaways and all that. So it would be good to sign it. So I was thinking, like, maybe when we get our next payout or whatever, maybe we can use it to buy a couple packs for a giveaway or some crap if y'all want to do that. But
okay,
yeah,
we'll see.
Drop a comment, drop a like, and if there's anything you want, as always, if you want to see anything on the show or hear us talk about stuff, then shoot us a message, shoot us an email, anywhere you'd like to, you can reach us at. But anyway, I think we'll call this a night. So it has been really fun. So as always, the best part about Magic is the gathering, and we will see all of you next week.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Peace out. Peace out.
I'm gonna play Power Word and slave people now.
What?